There she
Cheese.
is. What up, Gomay?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Hello, Essentially Healing. How are you? Gomay, is this you with a fresh ass twist?
It's a little old, but thank you.
I was about
I
to
feel
say,
like
you got fly just for me.
I feel like every time I see you, your hair is getting longer. Like every time you do a video, I feel like your hair like grew a quarter inch or something.
It is. And it will get chopped soon because y'all know I don't like no hair in my gumbo. That's like a that's like a no
You're,
fly zone for me.
you're gonna go back to the bob?
Possibly. We shall see.
Okay,
New year,
okay.
new things.
I'm trying to get like you.
Well, listen, honey. That's a tall order to fill.
You right. You right. You right. I should know by now. You right.
Essentially Healing, how are you? How was your evening? We're going to give it a couple more minutes for everybody to get their little cocktail, come and join us so we can get in on this Shea Moisture nostalgia.
Yeah, man. I'm excited about this conversation. It's interesting because there was a podcast I did last summer that just came out on inclusive marketing. And then I got a call today, like all of this within the past hour and a half. I got a call to speak on some D&I inclusive marketing work in the next couple of weeks. So I'm very fortunate that this is what I've been able to do and pivot within my lane.
Well, it definitely fits you. From what I know from you, you obviously have such an unhinged passion for it, and which we'll get into in a little bit. But you know what? Actually, let's go ahead and get started. Let's actually start with intros. Hi, everyone. I'm Natasha Wade, Chief Experience Officer of Natasha Wade, your Black Women Soul Coach. And what I do is I help Black women fulfill their deepest desires in life, love, work, and play through my patented coaching program, Euphoria 90. Michelle, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, Michelle Gomez, inclusive marketing consultant for Line 25 Consulting, as well as the founder of the African American Marketing Association.
Perfecto. So let's start with the obvious question. Why do you do what you do? Why did you get into this space, Michelle?
Well, I've been a marketer for quite some time, for at least the past 7 years. And I made the pivot because I realized there was a continuous misrepresentation or a lack of representation when it comes to specifically Black people, but as also, minorities in general. So that's including Latinx, Asian Americans, Indian/Middle Eastern, LGBTQ, which, that can be a couple of different things there, as well as people with disabilities.
Right. So today we're going to talk about specifically the Black women demographic. And we're going to just jump right into the scandal and go back down memory lane and go to Shea Moisture.
Yes.
So April 2017, they came out with an ad, right? As part of their, and let me check my notes here because I want to make sure I get it right. As part of their Everybody Gets Love campaign, right? Basically talking about how women were experiencing hair hate. What up, Kurt? That dude, everybody follow Kurt the Connector. He is exactly what it sounds like, a super connector. You will never be disappointed at his very colorful, flavorful marketing, which, of course, I know you would appreciate, Gomez. But anyway, so Shea Moisture 2017 came out with this ad about hair hate, and they got a lot of backlash. And why did they get the backlash, Michelle?
at that particular time, there was a lot of backlash because in the video or the initial video, there was a lot of white women or lighter skinned women, which was opposite of the demographic that helped build this brand. Right. So I would say I'm definitely a Shea Moisture consumer from ancient times. And a lot of the women that were outspoken look like me as far as, natural. Well, I got locks now, but, natural afro, tight, coiled, kinky 4C hair.
Right, the unambiguously black, monoracial black women, they felt were not represented in the ad, right?
Yes. Yes. So obviously Black Twitter, social media as a whole, there was just a lot of backlash, what I would call negative trending. And from there, the founder, Rich Dennis, spoke up, and as well as Gary Vaynerchuk, who's the CEO of VaynerMedia, who put the ad together, which is a white-owned company, right? So there's a conflict there where you have this white-owned marketing advertising company that's putting a campaign together for a black beauty product. So there's just a lot of things there. Not saying a white company can't do it, but there's no black women sitting on the table to speak up, to be like, hey, no, this isn't right. This is not how we can roll this out. Or we need to put more. A black woman would have known the significance of that brand, and would have been able to articulate or execute the vision better than what happened at that particular time when it came out, in my opinion.
Yeah, rightfully so, right? Because representation. Hey, Curly, not Nonprofit Connect, how are you? So obviously, because that's why representation is such a huge issue, right? Because when our voices are not at the table, there's not that they're just, those brands are less informed as to how our demographic is going to be impacted.
Right.
And what I thought was interesting, because this is one of the things I hate about the response that sometimes comes from some of these brands. But Rich basically came out that week and he said, while the campaign is heavily representative of women of color, we didn't explain to the community what the larger campaign is about, which is about women's hair challenges. And I didn't know how to take that because I saw the video. I don't remember it being a string of videos, but I saw the video. And I was like, where are these women of color that you're talking about? And why are you acting like we're stupid? Because Black women are one of the most informed, educated demographics there are out there. What is it that you think we did not get about this particular ad and what your intent was? And everybody feel free to type in the comments and tell us kind of what your thoughts were when the whole Shea Moisture scandal was about in 2017. Were you a consumer? Were you not a consumer? What did you think in general?
Yeah, and that's the thing with advertising and marketing, right? Once the message is out there, it's out there for interpretation, right? Just think about, we see thousands of messages a day, and just think if every CEO was to come back, hey, that's not what I meant. That's not what we meant. That's absurd, right? But he had to speak up in that particular point, and that was, in my opinion, that was just cover your ass statement, right? Because even though, and it's been a while, but I do recall the other videos, and I think they even had one for men and beards and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But once again, it was the rollout, it was the execution. And even if there were, the video too was dedicated to nothing but Black women, it still leaves room for misconception, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So based off of that statement and what was released and how it was released, it was just going to be wrong altogether because there wasn't diversity throughout the campaign. It was lopsided. And I think, companies have to be mindful of what diversity is and how it's executed, and how you're portraying that as well. And I mean, that goes, and so in this particular case, it was a lack of representation and misrepresentation, right? So even if there was a 3-video campaign and you have white women in video 1 or fair-skinned women in video 1, why is it that? Why are we on the back burner? Why are we video 2 where it was just all bad?
It was a shitstorm. It was just a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
And so let's talk a little bit about why they might have felt the pressure or the motive to actually do that, right? So one of the things that Rich said was brands that didn't serve women of color for decades are all of a sudden creating campaigns for them to go after that because the growth they've seen come from us. The competition that we now see puts businesses like ours at risk. And there was also a digital strategist and cultural critic at the time that said, I really don't get why y'all are mad at Shea Moisture. Y'all should want Black businesses to start getting this white coin as well. Right?
Yeah, we do, but it's the way that you go about it, right? So his company was bought for a reason, and I commend that. I commend growing into that new level of success. And everyone has a different view and perspective what success is. If that's what he wanted, I commend him. But at the same time, you can't leave your fan base behind, right? Because it is a two-way street in the sense that now you're here with the big time or whatever the case may be. But if you've diluted your product, you've diluted your brand, and then Black women are no longer buying your stuff, this company's still going to look at you like, hey, we acquired you for a reason, and now you're not delivering. And I think sometimes people get too big and they lose sight of that. So yes, we want Black businesses to grow, but you still have to be mindful of the community through that process. And once again, based off that campaign, it looked like he forgot the collective, the backbone of his business.
That's true. And yet, let me check this question here. Hey, hi, show. So here's the deal. I think the thing that stood out to me with that is I wonder what mindset he was in, right? Like, was he really in the mindset of thinking, I want to really grow and really sort of expand the footprint of this brand? Was this more greed or was this more survival? And what's really the perception of especially Black-owned businesses that feel like they might be painting themselves into a corner because they're only really serving this particular demographic, right? Because people tell us to niche all the time. But I know for some brands, it can feel like they're really limiting their options, especially in a highly competitive market where, let's just be honest, the Procter & Gamble's and the Unilevers and whatever of the world, they have way bigger budgets, right? So I do, on one hand, I cringe at his response. The other side of me empathizes with where he might have been sitting and really been thinking about, will this be the death of my company because I can't keep up? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good and valid question. I think something like that, my entrepreneur mind it's not even about marketing. This is when we go into the financials. Right. What does the financial statements look like? What does the supply chain and the distribution look like, right? And then that's what the Procter & Gambles are going to give you, distribution. Whereas it's just a different level. You go from maybe very selective markets to now you're everywhere. You're in Target, you're in Walmart, you're in dollar stores, you're everywhere. And then of course the price of your products go down and it can increase margin. There's so many things with that. And a lot of that stuff's that's the operations. Consumers don't care about that. We don't care.
Right.
We want the end product. We want the end result. So between the operations and me buying it, it's the marketing, it's the advertising, right? So what are you telling me to get me as a new customer or to keep me as a customer? So regardless of the peaks and valleys in the C-suite, I wasn't happy with what you delivered to me through this marketing campaign. And I think sometimes, and that's even more, that becomes a greater loss, right? And companies go through it. Nike went through it with Colin Kaepernick, whether he was kneeling or the commercial that came out last year, people are burning jerseys for no reason. It's, one day they're burning jerseys, the next day the sales are going through the roof. So I think it's hard to gauge, but at the end of the day, the marketing, the advertising is the message to the consumer. How are they going to feel when they see this message?
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a good segue into the next part of what we're talking about, the power of the Black woman dollar, right? So yes. There's some interesting stats, especially from, well, actually, let me put in this last quote from 2017 that I think is a really good preamble to what we're going to talk about. So there was a tweet from Cheyenne, username at Shamizzle, who said, "When I get home, all of my Shea Moisture products are going in the trash. Y'all are going to learn the value of the Black woman's dollar today," which gave me chills because I was like, yes, bitch. You tell them that we got coin. You know what I'm saying? And so to your point, somewhere around December 2017, after the scandal, Unilever actually acquired Sundial Brands, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they say companies who don't embrace these changes in their marketing will soon find themselves struggling to stay relevant with consumers, right? And then to that point, in 2020, there were some studies, or there was some interesting stats that said, on average, 89% of women across the world report controlling or sharing daily shopping needs compared to only 40% of men, which means we're dominating the household spending. So if brands really want to stay, hey, Grit and Moxie, if brands really want to stay relevant, if they really want to keep up, they have to consider women off top, right? But yes. On top of all that, the Nielsen's report says, since 2010, the buying power of African American consumers has increased 48%. Black consumers also spend more time on average watching live TV and using mobile phones, which are both key opportunities to reach consumers, right? So increased 48%, more than the 43% of US total population. On top of all that, we're nearly 3 times as likely to take to social media to show support of our favorite companies and brands. And we're 58% more likely to expect the brands that we buy to take a stance on issues. And 37% more likely to buy a brand when they do. What does all this mean? Black people, hey, Vanetta, Black people are a game changer.
Oh, yeah.
In spending and in buying and in consumerism. And on top of all that, when you look at the intersectionality, the fact that women off top are buying all of the products for the household, Black women are a force to be reckoned with. So what do you, like, how are you reconciling this? When you look at the everyday ads that we're looking at, do you feel like brands are doing a good job of speaking to us?
No, but
hey,
they are making an effort to get better, right? Mm-hmm. And I see it all around. Black culture is American culture, is mainstream culture, mainstream marketing, trending culture, is whatever you want to call it, right? Black culture makes you hot. Like, look at Clubhouse, just past 6-12 months ago, right? And now Black folk pretty much had a nice wave and some people falling off, just moving on to the next thing, nothing bad, but that hype is no longer there, right? So it's kind of like, oh, we utilize it, we serve this purpose, and we're moving on, right? So I think companies are aware of that, but we have a situation where some of it is, I guess, the lack of diversity, but then we also have the problem with generations, right? Our intergenerational workplace, where some of these CEOs, they're probably 50, 60 years old. These are old companies, and they may not be as innovative in leadership as they think. Like the social media might be nice, it's glittery and, but the leadership may be lacking. So I think there's a couple of problems when we do think about how companies are marketing to diverse audiences.
Well, yeah, and I think part of the problem is that we're also just understudied. Like when I even just try to do my basic research on just what is the buying power of specifically Black women. There's plenty of, actually, I wouldn't even say there's plenty of research on Black people. There's not even really plenty of research on Black people. Nielsen's doing a good job, but I don't know if everybody's really sort of tracking Black spending. But on top of all that, nobody's really paying attention to Black women. And when you think about the type of game changing we've been able to do with elections, with movements and all, it's almost sort of, it's idiotic to not research and study us and understand what our spending habits really are and how they can appeal to us.
You said Nielsen's doing a good job, but this is what Nielsen does, right? Nielsen's been in business for years doing this, probably from the 50s or 60s or whenever TV started.
Right.
And then I think Catalyst is right behind them. So it takes a lot of manpower to get consumer insights. And at the same time, Black people have to be willing to do surveys. A lot of us don't do surveys. I know peer-to-peer wise, a lot of us don't do surveys, right? So I do surveys. I try to do as many surveys as possible, but I also think it's the marketer in me, right? And if I have time, I'll do a survey, but a lot of us don't take the time to do surveys.
Well, where the hell do you get the survey, Gomaine? Where do we find the surveys? Like, where are we taking them?
I get surveys from products that I use. Xero, the accounting software, Square sends me a survey. I get paid for a lot of surveys. Last year I did a survey. They reached out to me because of my LinkedIn profile, and I got I think $1,500 in gift cards doing a survey / focus group.
You had me at $1,500. I'll start doing my surveys.
On Google Ads, Nielsen Media. I just moved into a new apartment a couple of months ago. Got what I'm assuming a direct mail survey, and it had $1 in it, and it was like, answer this question. It was like literally one question. Answer this question, and we'll send you $5. I did it. They sent me the $5. Now I got another mail, and it was like, call us to do a survey, and I think they'll pay me $10 or something. So I do surveys all the time. I did a Dropbox focus group 2-3 years ago and got a $100 Amazon gift card. So
nice. Getting paid, Domain. Racking it up.
I get paid in gift cards.
Maybe they can afford to pay you so much because the rest of us aren't doing our goddamn surveys.
But the thing is, a lot of these things it's literally emails and products that I use. I'm not really looking to fill out a form. I can't tell you what website to go to. I just do their surveys for the
products that you use and that you support. And so for everybody who's watching the live stream, please tell us what your thoughts are. Do you think that companies and major brands could be doing more to, what would you like to see? What is a true diverse sort of media campaign look like for you? What don't you see enough of? I'm curious as to what our audience thinks.
You know what? I support a lot of these companies, Toyota, Chase, AT&T. I think they've always done very good when it comes to diverse marketing, um, meaning that they are buying ads in Essence. They are sponsoring Essence and other Black and even Latino conferences that I've seen or I've attended. They're sponsoring, they have speakers there. When you go to their website or to their app, you see several images, Asian families, couples buying a home. So I think they do a really good job. This weekend, I saw an ad with Viola Davis for L'Oreal, and I was so happy because she just has this regal beauty about her. And it was
Rich chocolate.
it was a beautiful, beautiful ad. And I was like, it's about damn time. It's just because, it was like her getting her just due. And then obviously she has that deep, dark chocolate. And it was just beautiful. If I was an 8-year-old girl, I'm a grown woman. I feel inspired, so I can only imagine. So those are the companies that I think that are doing a good job, and I think it's a little bit easier for beauty and hair products to do it. Can we recap the topic, please? Yes, we're talking about the buying power of Black women. The buying power of Black women. Thanks for everyone joining.
Hey, Stefan.
So I think there's a commercial that's out right now. I don't like it because they're trying to be diverse. And what happened? Oh, it's the Amazon commercial, and they have the Black woman in the bathroom, and she says something like, "That's a good price," and then the white partner, significant other, which is a woman, comes out the shower and is like, "What's a good price?" Right. And I think like they're trying to show that LGBT thing, but I'm like, there has to be a better way to present that. Right. Like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about
what was it about that particular ad that was problematic for you?
The person popping out of the shower.
Okay. How would you have done it differently?
Huh?
How would you have done it differently?
Sitting on the couch. I think there's subtleties, and I think sometimes you're trying too hard. Like I can show that we're a couple without us being in bed or being in the shower,
I see.
Some real intimate moment, where we could just be shopping together, or we could be on the couch scrolling, or I'm at my desk and my partner's hovering over me and like, hey, should I buy?
Right. Right. They might be underestimating, and to your point, I think sometimes they may be underestimating the perceptibility, whatever, of their audience. Like sometimes they may be afraid that we just won't get it. But yeah, it would be interesting to also understand that intersectionality of being Black and being LGBTQIA plus, and just what does that advertising look like?
Right. So then it's like you have this LGBTQ relationship, interracial relationship, right? So I think it could have been a little bit more tasteful, and I think those are the areas where companies are struggling. And then I wonder, I'm like, okay, who's in the room? Who's chiming in? Or do they have fair representation, Black, brown, LGBTQ, Muslim, Christian, whatever you're trying to depict? Do you have either an employee that's on the team that's a marketer, or a consultant that's helping you?
So Vanetta says, great topic. The market has and is always marketing to women. They know that women control the buying power. They Absolutely. Do. And I guess that is the question. Like I said, it would be interesting for us to hear from more Black women to understand But do we feel like our major brands, the people that we support, are they doing us justice? Are we, number one, are they depicting us as a monolith, right? Because whenever I look at, the Popeyes commercial, okay, I'm like, I'm not the Popeyes lady, right? Or, just in general, when I'm looking at certain brands or certain beauty brands or whatever, like I don't feel like I'm represented there either. And again, going back to Shea Moisture and just some of the other scandals like Pepsi and all those other things, do we really feel like we're being done justice when being advertised to? I definitely think we're getting better. I mean, had you looked at it years ago, it probably would have been much different.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I started the African American Marketing Association. It was Shea Moisture, it was the H&M commercial, and I was like, what in the world is going on here? Like, where are we? Are we in the room? Are we the decision makers? I can't be the only one feeling like this. And I'm like, I need to talk to other Black marketers. And, so I launched in 2019, and then since the George Floyd incident, there's been a lot of other Black and brown marketing organizations that have started as well. And we all serve the same purpose and have overlapping communities. But it is crazy. But I'm glad we are speaking up. And once again, I do think companies and marketing agencies, because a lot of these top Fortune 500 companies are hiring marketing agencies, right? So you're thinking this company needs diverse talent, but they're hiring an agency that may not have diverse talent, that's doing the creative work, that's the advertising campaign. And Shea Moisture VaynerMedia is a prime example of that. And that's why someone like me, I kind of come in as the liaison, as a consultant to serve between the two entities and be like, okay, I see what you're doing, but maybe we can do this better. I can come in for a day, a couple of months, address a few things, and then I'm out. Because that's what it really is. It's about awareness.
So let me ask you two questions before we sign off. One is, what's maybe one or two things that you suggest to Black women to do to really leverage their dollars? Like, what is it that we can do to really sort of make impact in the economy for ourselves that benefits us and our community?
Yeah, so there are several things. One, continue to support small Black businesses, right? Continue to support brands that support us, right? And it's tough because unfortunately, Black people, we just don't create everything, right? So we have to step out. We have to go to Walmart and buy some other things. But if you can, try to support Black businesses as much as possible. And then hold these companies accountable, right? So of course, buy your consumer products, but if you can, buy stock. If you own shares of a company, you can vote. Your vote can matter in the direction of the company as well. And then if you have friends that work for these companies, hold them accountable. Because that's another thing, holding employees accountable when it comes to these companies and where they stand when it comes to Black Lives Matter and just diversity as a whole as well.
All right. So last question is, how can we support you, Michelle Gomez, and your cause, your company, your brand, your aspirations? What can we do?
Yeah, I have a lot of things in the works. So if you haven't already, please follow me here on Instagram. The African American Marketing Association is a free membership. So follow us on Instagram. You can see that handle in my bio. So click on that, sign up, become a member. And if you're a marketer, that's great. If you're a business owner that needs to learn how to market your business, hey, that's good too, right? We're all here to learn and support each other, creating a collaborative community. And I think that's the best way I can be supported right now. And I do one-on-one consultations if you're interested.
And I am telling you that y'all need to follow Michelle Gomez. Michelle Gomez has been, I would say, my marketing fairy godmother, my marketing mentor since day one. She's gotten my whole life all together. So
I am fortunate to do what I love, and I don't have to turn off the switch. Everything I do is marketing. So I'm very blessed in that regard.
well, we're very blessed to know you. And on that note, we're going to let you go off and ride off into the sunset and have your dinner. Everyone, bye. Thank you so much for joining us. Mwah.